Francis Newlands envisioned a suburb that would embrace the most progressive aspects of suburban planning of his day. He was strongly influenced by Frederick Law Olmsted, the preeminent landscape architect of the time, and in correspondence between the two, Olmsted had actually convinced Newlands that people really want a separation between business place and residence. So foremost in Newlands' vision was to create a completely, exclusively residential suburb. In addition, Newlands really wanted his suburb to be remote from the city and yet easily accessible to it. So he created a dedicated streetcar line that went directly from downtown D.C. out to his new suburb in Chevy Chase.
Once the land company acquired over 1,700 acres of land, they began the job of laying out the streetcar line from Calvert Street in the district up to Jones Bridge Road. It was a length of about 6 miles. It was a massive undertaking.
First, they had to build a big bridge across Rock Creek, and then a smaller bridge across the Klingel Valley, and then they had to cut down a whole series of rocky hills and fill up a whole mess of deep valleys. And this was all pick and shovel work. This was all hand going. But eventually they carved out a road, Connecticut Avenue, and laid down their 2 sets of streetcar tracks and did it all in less than 2 years at a cost of well over $1 million.
The Rock Creek Railroad was formally opened yesterday. Officials and guests went over the road a distance of 6½ miles from Washington to inspect the powerhouse and enjoy the beautiful scenery. The run was made in just 30 minutes. The Washington Post, September 17, 1892.
So if you took the streetcar out from the circle, you paid a little coupon that cost 3 cents if you were going to school, and if you wanted to go into town, you paid 10 cents to go downtown.
My mother would put me on the streetcar, and I would get off with my Irish setter dog, and I'd go into the school. The dog would go back and take the next streetcar going home, because all the motormen knew my dog. Edith Claude Jarvis.
They used to have a cow catcher on the front of the car. I remember so well because Major Hinkle, who lived over on Irving Street, would invariably miss his streetcar. He would jump on the cow catcher and fold his paper and lean back and read until he got to the first stop, when he'd get off and get on the streetcar and pay his fare. Helen Wolcott.
And we would walk from school up to Connecticut Avenue and wait for the streetcar and ride down to the lake. And it was a fast ride because there were no stops between there and the lake, and it was downhill, and they let it roar.
In order to get home buyers out to see the lots they had for sale, developers all over the country put enticements at the end of their streetcar lines. In Chevy Chase, it was an amusement park called Chevy Chase Lake.
That was a wonderful place. You could row a boat, ride the carousel, or have a picnic by the lake. A section of the Marine Band came out on the open streetcars every Memorial Day, playing all the way to the lake. They would march to the top of the hill to an enormous bandstand. You could hear the music almost up to Kensington. Edith Claude Jarvis.